Hello, everyone. Hi, and welcome to today's session. Thank you for joining us. My name is Moria, and I'm the Regional Reactor Lead for Europe, and I will be moderating today's session. Today's session is part of the Reactor program, and for those of you who are new to the Reactors are a community hub, technical hub for developers and for startups where you can actually meet, learn, and connect with each other. We offer different types of hands-on events, workshops, hackathons, trainings, and all sorts of live events and in-person events. Depending on where you are based, you can check if we have physical locations. We have reactor spaces in 10 different locations worldwide. But as I mentioned, we also offer live events. So we have live stream events on a daily basis on different time zones. You can scan this QR code and check out our website to find out more about our upcoming events. I will also share the links in the chat soon, so please don't worry about if you're not able to share the QR code. If you wish to register for our newsletter, we have a monthly newsletter that we send with all the upcoming events for the month, including depending on the location you register from. You can scan this QR code and sign up for our newsletter. Microsoft Reactor uses a lot the Microsoft Learn program. If you haven't checked it out, I really highly recommend you to visit Microsoft Learn. You will find different resources, technical learning path modules, training, on-demand events, blogs, and really a lot of technical resources for you to learn on your own pace from home, from anywhere you wish. The good thing about it is that you can really tailor the learning path and the opportunities you want to learn to your profile and to your experience. You can visit Microsoft Learn if you scan this QR code. This will lead you to the AI, which is a hub that gathers all the relevant resources we have around AI. You can also answer a few simple questions and you will get the right resources that's suitable for your profile. So this QR code will take you there. Before we start, I wanted you to take a minute, please, to check our code of conduct for Reactor events. Please be respectful, patient, and friendly in the chat to others. Take a minute to read this code of conduct. Okay, so without further ado, I'm going to start today's session. Actually, one last thing before, I wanted to mention that the session is recorded. It will be available on our YouTube channel. I will share the link in the chat soon. If you have any questions to our speakers during the session, please feel free to use the chat box and you can post your questions there. They will be happy to help to reply to your questions at the end of the session. And will be about from vision to visualization using GitHub Copilot for Azure, Python, and diagrams. Today's session is going to be delivered by Gosia Borzeca, a Microsoft MVP, and Marcel Lupo, as well, a Microsoft MVP. Without further ado, I'm going to pass it over to them. So Gosia and Marcel, over to you.
Hello. Yeah, so welcome to the session called From Vision to Visualization. My name is Gosia Borzenska. I'm a Microsoft AI MVP, and with me is together with Marcel.
Yeah, hi there. My name's Marcel. I'm also a Microsoft MVP in developer technologies in Azure. Today we're going to show you some cool stuff that you can do with GitHub Copilot and GitHub Copilot chat in VSCode. Mainly hosting your infrastructure and your platforms, your systems in Azure, not to just only build those using AI, but also describe them and maybe visualize them. So yeah, my name's Marcel. I work at Avanade as well with Gosia. And at the end, you will share our details if you want to get in touch with us on LinkedIn or anything like that. Thank you for taking the time as well to come and look at our session today. Hopefully you will learn something nice or cool, and maybe we'll see a little bit of bumps in the road that we have, and how you always have to check things produced from AI, because we've had mixed experiences preparing for this demo to show you today. Anyway, without further ado, what are we going to show you today? So we're going to show you Visual Studio Code Copilot, and we're going to use an extension that was released very recently called Copilot for Azure extension to interact with our resources in Azure, and also try and kind of use Python and Jupyter to kind of extract data, all using AI, and then try and see how we can make diagrams from this. We also have an extension called VSCode Mermaid, which is basically an extension that we can also, which we'll also demo. So how do we use GitHub Copilot? It's not only just a pure programmer to help me code my infrastructure, but also visualize it. So when people talk about GitHub and Visual VS Code, they think about, oh, it's only for developers. We will show you how this can be used now with the Azure integration, how you can actually analyze, describe your infrastructure better. It can be used by anyone, really, for like solutions architects, people who don't understand the resources that well, how they're interconnected, loads of things. So GitHub Copilot's come far in terms of just generating code for us. We can now actually interact with our resources and things in Azure, and also try and visualize them. So the tooling that you need that we're going to show you here is a Visual Studio Code installed. We're going to use AZ CLI, and we're also going to use Python. And then inside Visual Studio Code, you can install extensions, which is called GitHub Copilot, GitHub Copilot Chat, Azure CLI tools, GitHub Copilot for Azure, which is that nifty new extension that we were talking about, Jupyter for Python running with Jupyter notebooks to also interact with the data, and an extension called VSCode Mermaid. As you can see here, all of these extensions are published by Microsoft. So they are being developed and worked on by Microsoft. So verified extensions that we're going to use here. What are we going to do first? Okay, so we're going to ask Copilot to create a deployment for us. Maybe a secure web server with SQL integration. Now, I bolded out the word secure because we want it to be secure. Don't want to use connection strings, don't want to use, we want to use identities where we can. We're going to connect this web server to SQL using its identity. So that we don't expose any connection strings or anything like that. So basic web server. Copilot will hopefully come back and says, sure, here we go. And we will get our PowerShell code for our Azure CLI. So let's see what that looks like if we try that out. So I've prepared already a script, actually, which is this one here. Let me try and make this a little bit bigger. Actually,
Control plus.
Control plus. Yeah, hopefully this is a little bit better for the audience. So as you can see here, I've created a script already. I'm just going to comment this out. All it is logging into Azure. It gives a bunch of resources, variables, creates, pardon?
You can hide this one so you can see only the
Oh, yes, yeah. Sorry, that's fine. So I've already got a script. Now, I prepared a prompt to basically deploy this that I will ask GitHub Copilot. Now, when you install GitHub Copilot, you'll get this icon on the top right-hand corner here, which is basically this. I'll just close that. If I click on that, it will open GitHub Copilot. And I will just start a new session here. And it would look like this. So we can ask GitHub Copilot some questions. So I've written a prompt. If I just copy that. It's quite a big prompt. And the reason I'm not going to use the Azure extension at this point, I'm just going to ask GitHub Copilot plainly to write me this code or this PowerShell script. I want a CLI script that basically creates resources based on some variables. I give it quite a lot of data already in my prompt. So create the resources, create a resource group, a web server, plan, and a SQL server with a database, give the web app an identity and use that to connect to the SQL server instead of using connection strings. So I put a lot of, the important thing is the more information you put into your prompt, the more rich it would be. So you do kind of need to know how to talk to the AI and to ask it what to do for you. So I'm just going to ask it to create the script. Like I said, I already have a script. And then I'm just going to compare it. So as you can see here, the GitHub Copilot is now generated for me a script. It tells me declare these variables, create a resource group, create a storage account, get the storage account key, create a container, because what I want to do with the container is basically what Gosha is going to show us is how we can take the JSON interpretation of our resources into JSON and put that in that container so that we have a JSON structure of our resources also. That's the reason why I asked it to create a container, create the web app with a managed identity, get that identity, it's a system assigned identity, and then make that the SQL Server admin, so the identity of the web app will have access to the server, not using connection strings, and then create a database for me that my web app will use, and create all the firewall rules that's needed, and then just deploy a little web app that I've done. So because I've got a script already, this is just the prompt I asked. I've not done anything at this point in terms of running my code, but I already have a script here, and what I want to do now is I want to compare the two just to see how accurate did the Copilot do this. So I'm just going to ask it before saving the script. I'm just going to say, compare this script with an existing script called deploy sec web app demo 1, which is what the script is called, the actual script. And what are the differences between what you've generated for me, Copilot, and what is the real script if a real person was to write that? Just to show, just for interest's sake, you can attach certain criteria. So for example, to look at the code base, it should know that we're in this code base already. So I'm not going to add any context, but you can select different files and stuff. So I'm just going to run that. It's going to say, here are the differences between the script that it has generated and what is there in reality. So there doesn't seem to be AZ login, which is fine, because my script has got AZ login for me to log into my tenant. The variables for me are declared using a $. AZ group create, both scripts creates a script, both creates a storage account, both does a blob container, both does a service plan. That's the stuff that's going to get created. So it looks good to me. So I can save this code now and run it. So what I will do, just go in, run this code. I run that. Oops. Let me just quickly go back in here. And now you'll see here, it's going to start to create my resource group. It's going to start to do the deployment. So we can actually go and look at that in Azure here for just one moment. Let me just open that up. So here is my demo resource group that it's created. So if I refresh that, you should see the resources starting to pop up here in just a moment. It takes a little bit of time. So it's pretty cool. I asked Copilot to create me a secure web server with SQL integration, and it just generated that, and I'm running that. It's really cool, right? I saved a lot of time. But it's important to check always the code compare it, try and compare it if you've got existing code, try and compare it with your existing code. But let me just go back. It takes a little while to deploy, so we have a pre-built environment also. So you can see here stuff are starting to build up. And we'll just continue with the demo. So that's how we used Copilot to generate us a script to deploy a web server. Now, what do we want to do next? In my script, I asked it to, the web server should have an identity. The identity should connect to SQL. There should be no connection strings. But now, what I can do is I can even ask Copilot to go and check that for me, go and check those resources. So if I use @Azure, which is using the Copilot for Azure extension, that is kind of hooking up your Copilot with your tenant and your subscription to look at your resources. And you can ask this extension a bunch of stuff, and it will go and fetch it, like how many storage accounts have I got, or how much does this thing cost a month? This extension is really powerful, and it's built into GitHub Copilot. So I'm going to ask it questions about my infrastructure that I just deployed. Again, it'll go, I'm going to ask more secure stuff. Is my stuff secure? It will then actually use that extension to do a query and result, which is a resource graph query. But here's the important thing. Always check, because Copilot can sometimes be wrong. So always check. So let's have a look at this, what this would look like if we were to use this extension. When you use the GitHub Copilot extension, or after you've installed it, so this is still running. So I'll just switch to the pre-built environment now, just to save some time for this demo. But we can come back to this. Or actually, we could use this one. It doesn't really matter. So I've just created some prompts beforehand. If I just open this one, I'm just going to minimize my terminal. So I'm going to use the @Azure phrase. And I can ask it questions. I'm not going to use my pre-built environment just out of curiosity's sake, just to show you that I'm doing this against the actual environment that I'm just building right now. It should almost be finished, I hope. So let's open up GitHub Copilot again. And now, like I said, when you have that @Azure, if you have that extension installed, you can interact with that extension using the @sign. So we're going to say @Azure, and we can ask it questions about change tenant, like I said, cost, diagnose, help, learn. We're interested in this one, resources, because the resources there are built. So I'm going to say, does the web app hosted in resource group, the demo one, that's the one I'm building right now. If we see how far that has come, I just want to quickly refresh the Azure page. Okay, so the web app looks like it's built. I'm going to say, does the web app hosted in that resource group have an identity? First of all, that's very important to me. The Azure extension is not connecting to Azure. It's creating a graph query that will basically go and check that. And what's nice about this is I can save this query. So I can generate queries and tweak them also. And it tells me, hey, the web app that you're hosting in there has got a system assigned identity. Amazing. That's really, really cool. But I kind of need the identity ID to kind of look up stuff. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to ask Copilot resources. What is the principal ID? What is the ID of the ID assigned to the web app hosted in my resource group that I just created? And it will go and check. So I don't need to go into the resource, to go into its identity, go into enter ID, go and look up the ID. I can just simply ask it. I get the results straight away. It says, here you go. your principal ID for your web app is this. Now, I'll ask it another question. I would say the identity, oops, let me just get rid of this. I want to ask it, does the web app hosted have an identity? Yes, it does. So, okay, yeah, so what I will do is now I will say, does the identity assigned to the web app in the resource group, does it have any sort of access? Because when you create an identity, you have to permission that identity. And if you remember, I asked my script to create the identity to have SQL access as a SQL administrator to add that. So it should have access to the SQL server as a SQL admin. I've not given it any access in Entra or RBAC or anything. I've purely given it access inside of a SQL resource. So let's see if it finds that. Let's see how accurately it can get that, because I'm not actually checking Entra here. So it says to me, the web app Copilot. Oh, sorry. So what does it say? I will check if the identity to the web app has any access anywhere. I will get the subscription ID and get back to you. Okay, that's interesting. Let me ask the same question, because maybe it's still building. Let's ask it just one more time. Just see what I could give it the subscription ID if it needs it, but let's see what it comes back with. Okay, so it says that the identity assigned to the web app does not have any access anywhere across all my subscriptions. Now, that's not quite true, because it should have access to the SQL server, right? My suspicion is that the check is only done against Entra ID instead of the SQL server itself. So let's change that question a little bit. And this is also why you need to always check, because the Copilot can sometimes be incorrect. You always need to check. I'm going to ask it a very specific question because I wanted that in my script. So it's just a matter of asking it in a different way. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to say, what about the SQL server in the resource group demo? Who is the AAD or Entra ID admin? I'm kind of asking who's the admin of the server, because I need an admin on the server. And I know that my web app, I asked for it to be made the admin of its identity. So I'll ask it just plain straightforward question. The SQL server, it says, the SQL server called MySQL server has an admin, and the admin is my web app demo. So it's correct, my identity there. And now we can go and check this, right? Let's go and double check everything. You can ask now, but you see, this is what I mean. You can use that extension to ask stuff. So first of all, let's see if the web app is deployed. Let's have a look at the site. It might not come up straight away, but we can have a look if the site's actually working. While that's loading, what I can do is I can see, do I have a identity? Yes, I have a system assigned identity. My web app is called that, which is correct. My identity, which should also be that. Next thing I can check is, oops, my application error there. Maybe it takes a little bit of time to deploy. So next thing I'm just going to check, does the SQL server, who's the admin of the SQL server? So if we go and look in here under Entra ID, you see here my Entra ID admin is the web app. Pretty cool, right? So I've got all my resources here, the web app on the plan, the storage account with an empty container. Oops. Yeah, that's the empty container. All looks good to me, except the site is not up yet. Now, sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the site to kind of warm up, especially after a new deployment, or there might be a legit error. Maybe it didn't upload the zip file or something that I put in. So I'll just quickly jump back to the actual pre-built environment, but it should look like that. So there's my web app. If it uploaded the zip file, I won't check that now, but most of my resources look right to me in the demo. In the demo resource group. So if I just jump back quickly there. Here we go, the demo resource group. Everything looks, oh yeah, okay, so it says there are no deployments. So the deployment the zip file upload in this must have gone a little bit funny, I reckon. Or it's just restarting, I'm not sure actually. But all my resources look fine. It's done what I asked it to do, which is pretty much 90% of the work done. Let's give it one more go. No, okay. And that's how you can use the GitHub extension to kind of interact with your resources. Now I will hand over to Gosha to talk a little bit more about the Python and Jupyter Notebooks part of the demo.
Yeah, so the next part is that when Marcel's done all the infrastructure, we just need to do a little analyze based on all what is done. So this what we can use. It's again GitHub Copilot in Visual Studio Code to use the Python. So in this case, you just need to have a basic knowledge about Python and understand how things working around. So this is kind of type of interaction that you can have with GitHub Copilot. So you can generate the code in Jupyter Notebook. You can have some inlay codes. You can have also the suggestion that will go on, or you can chat with the GitHub Copilot to tell you what's going on this code, why it generates things like that, or how to fix it. So let's just go to the demo to see how everything is working. So this is what I prepare. I just prepare some notebook that is empty. So first, what you need to do before you will start working with this, you just need to connect to the correct tenant ID and to correct subscription if you have multiple subscriptions. When you done that, you just can start using the environment. So first, we'll get some preloaded definitions. So we have some subscription ID, resource group name, connection string, container, and storage. So this is all what we will need, and I already know that. But if you don't know this one, during the working with Copilot, it will just tell you what you need and show you the things, but it will save all of this information in the code here, what we want to avoid. That's why it's a good practice to set everything in environment variables, so it will not go to any resource group, and we can just read them using load.net and get this all information. So we can run this, like just click and get this information. And yeah, so this sometimes what's going on, like for example, if you would need to install, by default it will come with this bit with pip install, but the newest version is this one. But yeah, you can just easily change this one and install. So we can just see how it's installing. It can check if we already have these packages or not, and we'll go to install for us. I know that I'm not showing yet any GitHub, but yeah, we're just getting. And here where we can just go and start working. So let me just remove this one. And this what we can do is just start. So we can connect to Azure using Azure identity and list all of the resources that is provided for this group, and save them to the array called resource array. So this what I'm going to do is just add inline. So how you see it's just press Control E to ask GitHub Copilot to do something. So I'm going to ask Copilot to do it for me. And when I run this, it's just starting to generate the code for me. So as we see, it just add extra mark for markdown. Sorry, it's not touch screen. Sorry.
It's okay. That's fine.
Yeah, so now we can run and check if the code is working correctly. So as we see, we don't got an error, it just run everything correctly. Or we're assuming that it's correctly. So now for each of these resources in this resource array, we would like to get all of the JSONs and save them to a new folder called JSON files. As you see, I don't have this folder here yet. So this is what we say, we can also generate the code. So it's almost similar one as Control E, but except clicking code to add the cell, it just can do it for us, everything. So we can just now run. Sorry, just moving. And again, it's starting to generate all of this information. I don't know why it's adding this all Python things.
It's trying to make a markdown of it.
Yeah, I think it's trying to do this one. Usually, it's just creating a Python that you can easily just run. So we can go and run this code again, and we can see that there are some error messages. So for example, here it's just saying there is no register resource provided found for location UK sound and API version. And here we have information that the storage account should have version 2014-0101. So this what we can add is just ask. Sorry, I used to have the touch screens. So this what we can do is just go and ask Copilot here with fix. So when the resource will be storage account, let's use the version that it's provided, the supported one. Use API version. And now it will just go and connect and fix our code to find out the correct version. And it's regenerating everything. We can accept and try to run again. And hopefully now it's going to work. Let's run again. And we got another error message that this time it's saying that, what it's telling us, oh, it's the same. You don't need to save.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't need to save in the Jupyter notebook. It just, when you have here, you just need to run. So it's not a Python script.
Yeah. Okay, interesting.
So we can check what's going on. So here is if the storage account is this one, just use this version. But it's coming back like it's the still the error message for this one. So yeah, we can just going and fixing this one by one. So I don't want to just make a lot of time for going and fixing it. So I prepare before on other resources how we can do it easily. So as you see, this what it was created for me, it was, I done exactly the same. I got the error message. I got one more and it's also got the error message, and then it's back with things like that. So I will just copy this as I know it's working.
Can you compare it with the, ask it to compare?
If this will be in different files, yes.
Cool.
But for now it's because it's in in Jupyter, it's just different cells, so it's
Yeah.
So as you say, this code is correct. It's coming back with resource details and saved to JSON files. So we can see now it's creating a new folder for us, and it's have all of the JSONs that we have.
Amazing.
So
yeah, sorry, go on.
Yeah, so next, this what probably you will need is to add the work on this from blob storage, not from local machine. So for me, if I work with Jupyter notebooks or Python, I just will use everything on my local one. So it will be very easy to get all of this information. But for you, if you would like to use them, I probably would like to add them to the blob storage. So here, for example, what it can come suggestions. So for example, I will say connect to blob storage. And as you see, I get now the suggestion that it's coming for me, and it's telling me what I should do, what I should add. And yeah, it's just generating for me all of this information. And as well, I can just use the inline with some prompt. So as you see, all of these prompts are easy and not very complicated, but they're doing the simple work for me, what I need to do. Of course, I need to double check if this all is correct. Okay, I can accept this one and remove this what was created before.
That's so cool. So our JSON, all our resources, JSON files are being extracted and put into the storage account as JSON files.
Yeah, it should. It does, again, we have that blobs, it's not defined, probably because I remove the code before. So again, we can just click fix, and it's going to help us to understand what's going on. He can read also the error message that was generated, and based on that, find and fix all of this information. So let's accept this code and run again and see if this is going to work. It's not. And we can find no module Azure storage. So again, what we can do is just Control A and fix, and it's going to propose us what's going on in this information.
We need to install that module, probably.
And now I don't know why it's removed all of this. Let me try one more time. Let's add fix.
So you actually click on the error message to do the inline fix, right? So it knows how to read the error.
It should. Usually it's doing the job. It's not just removing things like that. But yeah, it means that we don't have Azure storage. Mm-hmm. So if we know what the package is, we just can add pip install and the module that we would like to install, and just run this. And it will just go and install all this information what we would like to have.
Awesome. That's so
and
cool.
If it starts working, we should get all of this information sending automatically to the blob storage. So yeah, we doesn't have this one. It's download. It's getting to install and it's finished. So now if I run this, it should or shouldn't work. Okay, it couldn't find now, but yeah, usually it should work. If it's not working, you sometimes need to just restart. It's how the Python is working. But yeah, because for the rest of the demo, we don't need this one. Let's just assume that everything works correctly.
Yeah, so the Python, you could try, on the top right-hand corner where it says Python 3.12.6, if you click on that, on this here, you can actually, if you click on that, on this, I think you can restart.
Yeah, you can restart all of the kernel. Yeah, so we can try. The problem is when you're restarting the kernel, you just need to run a few bits before So it
I
can
see.
remember all of this. For example, if you use the variables, so it's need to get the variables one more time.
Yeah.
So it just need to know that using them.
Okay. Yeah, because I think when you install packages and stuff, sometimes you need to reinstall restart the kernel, or maybe restart the machine.
Yeah, there is still the error message. So I will not focus on resolving this live.
Fine.
But yeah, usually it's going on. Yeah, so next one is coming with the using Mermaid diagrams, and there is a package. We know that there is a package, and we have some JSON files. And let's assume that we don't know anything about Mermaid. We just know that, yeah, this is the package. Here we have a JSON. This is what client told us. Just use the JSON, create the package, create the diagram based on this packages. So this what first we can do is just ask what's going on. So if we go and do this and run, it will generate some code for us. And yeah, it's going to all of these JSON files, reading them, and generating the code, what it thinks it will work for it. So if we run this one, we'll go to the error message. So it's like missing the requirements like title and script. And then if we go to understand more about how the Mermaid is working, it's because it cannot just read this JSON files. This how its work is based on the markdown files. So I prepare as well some samples what you can get from the site. So it's pre-run. So you can see that this is how it's working. So we have just some title, and we have some state diagram. And if we render this, we have a diagram here. We can also use the sequence diagram, and here where it's going back with some sequence diagram. There are, of course, other diagrams that we also can use, but yeah, there are just some samples. So as we know that all of these files need to be markdowns, we can go to each of them. And yeah, you can connect with people who have more knowledge about this, like Marcel. And he can say that, yeah, use the ID because ID have the most information about these resources. So this is what we try to use. So if we go to the next cell and from the JSON files, just get the ID and based on that generate the markdown file for us. So let's try and see what the Copilot will create for us. And here it's trying to generate these files for us. And we see it's just coming with resources ID and other stuff. It should save. Yes, it's safe in the diagram. So this is what we already have. So now based on this file, let's see if it can generate or not. So I don't know yet. So we can add another code. And we can add just based on the diagram MD file. Generate Mermaid diagram. And we can see and test how all of this working. And yeah, we got the error message as this is not correct. So we can just, go base by base and finding out what is going on, what is missing, what's coming. But it's always good to, understand how all this package is working on. And
can you use the Mermaid because we installed that extension?
Yeah, we will see this in a moment. Just I wanted to show because it's different than the extension. So here we're using the Python library that we can use this one. So this is the working one. So I done this before. So this what it's great. It's create a diagram, and we had little different MD what was created for us. So this is the example, and create as well the connections that is going on. And here where it comes some results that probably this what Marcel would like to have. And yes, we can use the extension. So we use as well the extension to check how all of this working. So if I will start a new chat, we can use the Mermaid AD, and we can ask generate the diagram from the demo diagram. And here is also opening this file and trying to generate the diagram. So I'm not mentioning what kind of diagram I would like to have. So it's trying to understand what is there and how it's working to just get this model.
That's pretty amazing. Like, so we can.
Yeah, so when we open this, we can see that it just generates something. It's very, very small with a lot of details because, yeah, we have like here resource ID. So probably this what we would like to remove and little change. So I think this what I would like to share here is this how you created the prompt, what you need to ask. And as you saw, Marcel before, when create all of these resources, he done a lot of details what he would like to come. Here I was trying to show that, yeah, with the simplest one, you as well can create these bits, but you need to a lot of tweaks and fix. And even if you're starting, you still need to do some research if the code is correct, generated by Copilot Studio. Do you want to try to do some diagram?
Yeah, that's really cool. And this looks very similar to what Python created. So I'm just going to quickly thank you, Gosha, for showing that. That's really cool. I see there's a few questions on the chat. We will get to that just at the end of the session. Just want to quickly jump back into this here. So like Gosha said, that we can use Python to further interact with our resources, get the JSON files, put those JSON files into a blob storage account to work with more. So what I will do now next is, everything looks okay, but I'm also going to now try and use this Mermaid extension like Gosha has done against the JSON files. And it does a similar thing. This time it's not interacting with the Azure extension because we've got that detail already in a script, because we asked Azure to create the script, Copilot to create the script, deployed the script, used Azure to check everything is okay, verified it as a human, just go and check if everything's there. But now I want to try and visualize that. So I'm going to ask these questions and see what it comes back with. Let's have a look. But Gosha has used the JSON files as well as the Python libraries. I'm going to use the script that Copilot created itself earlier. So I will now, in the chat, as you can see here, we do have this script here. This is our script here, which is the demo one. And I'm just going to say, add Mermaid. Add Mermaid. Can you create a EDR diagram from the details on the script demo deploy.
So we don't need to use which file, because we already attached the file.
Oh yes, yeah, the file is already here. So you can actually attach, like I said earlier, you can attach files, you can attach workspaces, and you can ask questions about those. But as you can see here, you can also just go and check, and it will know that you're in your workspace. But we can just say from the details on the attach. Okay. So let's have a look here. Let's see what that comes up with. So it's checking. Oh, okay, here we go. Let's have a look. Wow, so that's pretty neat. We have our resource group, and inside that resource group is a storage account with a container. And we can probably do a little bit more with this, which I'll go into in a sec. But that resource group contains a storage account, which contains a container. It also contains a plan with a web app. It contains a server with a database. That's pretty cool, pretty nifty.
Yeah, so it seems that the PowerShell have more details than the JSON, and you just need to first manipulate more with JSON to get the similar output.
I'm just going to ask it a question which I've not actually done yet, just out of curiosity. So I'm going to say, can you enrich this diagram with some details pulled out of the JSON files? Oops. Diagram with the JSON. So JSON files in, what was the location? Demo
JSON files folder.
JSON underscore files. POF. Let's call it that.
Yeah.
Let's see what that comes up with. So hopefully it will kind of get I'm interested in file names, or sorry, not file names, like names of resources, maybe IDs or something like that, because I only know there's a storage account and a container. I don't know what it's actually called. So let's see if we can enrich that diagram now. But architecturally, it looks correct. So if we have a look now, I can see, okay, wow, I've got all the values, but still doesn't give me much data. So I can then maybe say, populate the diagram with the JSON values of the resources. Let's see, instead of using the keys, because as you know, JSON file structure is a key value pair, and it's using the keys there for some reason. So I'm just directing it to say, I want the values, not the keys, to kind of see if I can make that even better, that diagram. So pretty nifty. Okay, so this is what Gosha was saying earlier, that the extension has a little bit of trouble to interpret the JSON files. And that's why we kind of need to break up the JSON files a little bit. So maybe it will fix itself.
Yeah, but if not, you just need to little manipulate with data before.
Yeah, so
you will get the correct answer, what you really need.
Yeah.
So I think the conclusion of this one is that Copilot, it's not always the answer for everything. You still need to have some knowledge and understand the basics of all of this information going on, and work close with people who knows the stuff.
Just want to do one last one. Instead of using the JSON files, because I've got the script, I just want to quickly check if I populate the diagram with the script values of the resources. And then at this point, I can, like I said, I can put that context. So I can say, I want to use, let's use, where's the demo script? There we go. Let's use this one. just out of curiosity, I'm just super curious. It's nice to play around with this new stuff. Kind of try and break it and see how we can take it apart. So let's see if that fixes it. No, can't do that, unfortunately. Anyway, we'll play around a little bit more with that.
Yeah, should we still go to the questions?
Yeah. Okay, and I guess if we just jump back, because I'm just aware of time here, just jump back to the slides. Yes, so Microsoft would like to hear you, if you can do this survey for us, that would be really great, just to see what you thought of the session and taking part of the season of AI. We're just going to jump to a few of the questions at the moment that's in the chat. I'm just going to start at the top there. Is it possible to have the list of those VSCode extensions? Yes, this session is recorded. The extensions are in the slides. We'll also share the repo, so you can kind of get the code, you can get the slides, you can get everything from that GitHub repo.
And try by yourself how all of this is working. Only bit is that you need to have access to GitHub Copilot to just use GitHub Copilot.
Yeah. Next question there is it? This looks cool. I'm guessing the Azure plugin for Copilot uses its own identity. Can I utilize PIM to? Okay, so yes, when you're using the Azure for Copilot kind of extension in VS Code, you have to authenticate that against your
Azure subscription.
I will quickly show this just because for those who are interested, it's a good question.
So it will use on my first.
Yeah, I just want to show basically that you can actually configure this extension.
Okay.
So if I do Copilot for Azure, and I go into its settings. Where is the settings? Oops, I missed that one. Yeah, there we go. So you can actually configure workspace settings or tenant settings for your workspace or your user. And when you connect that for the first time, it'll actually pop up and ask you need to log into Azure. And then you log in like you do normally to get that authentication. But you can also kind of automatically connect your tenant, your subscription. There's a lot of settings that you can set on this extension to kind of, I hope that answers the question. But yeah, you can use PIM because it will use your identity. It's like logging into Azure from CLI, similar thing. The next question is, also, have you guys utilized this for test automation to validate deployments? Very good question. I haven't used this, but this is a good thing to use for that. But also, again, you have to
you have to double check if everything is working. So it can generate for you the test, everything, but yeah, you need to check because it could go only with the basics things, not what the user journey going through. So sometimes you just need to be very, very specific what the test need to do to not just generate the basics one.
Yeah, it's always important, like you said, like Gosha said, when we are doing this, we're checking it, right? We're seeing how accurate it is. It's quite accurate, but there are sometimes problems. So I wouldn't rely on that fully, but I mean, as a second pair of eyes, for sure, that was such a good use case for that to validate deployments. So the next question is there a link to the notebook? Yes, I will share that in a moment, actually on the next screen. So what I will do is, the next screen has got a barcode for the repo, and then also our LinkedIn profiles if you wanted to chat to us on LinkedIn or connect with us on LinkedIn. Just going to go to the next question. You can substitute Mermaid for diagrams, Python module for Azure diagrams. Okay, cool. Thanks for that info. We will definitely try that out. It's
because we try to have some challenge to use something what we not use during the work life, so that's why we decided to do some visualization doing using Mermaid diagrams.
Yeah, I'm sure there's some other diagram tools. I guess what we wanted to show mainly is the power of Copilot, how you can use Copilot to help you write your infrastructure, configure your infrastructure, look at your infrastructure, ask questions about your infrastructure.
And help you generate the code and validate all of this information. So it's like, yeah, you're helper with the everyday work.
Yeah. Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to come and I don't think if there's any more questions, our session's started a bit late, but we're running over a bit also. I guess we made up for good time.
Yeah.
And thank you very much for joining.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you both. I just wanted to say it was a great session. Thank you everyone who joined and for the great questions. As we mentioned, the session is recorded, so you can access and listen to it on the Reactor YouTube channel. Thank you everyone, and see you at the next event.
Thank you.
You. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye.